There is a literal bevy of video game terms that many people don't understand, so today we're gonna fix that. Welcome to the Dummies Guide to Next Level Video Game Terminology. Alright, so imagine you're trying to get good at a video game. A skill floor is the minimum amount of skill required to play that game, or the minimum amount of barrier that a player has to bypass to acquire competency. When a game's got a high skill floor, it means there's a great deal of skill required to attain competency with that game. Dota 2 and CSGO are games with high skill floors. It takes a lot of effort just to learn the baseline systems in those games. But on the flip side, when a game has a low skill floor, less technical skill and knowledge is required to jump into that game. A game like Overwatch is a great example and has a low skill floor. It's just easy to pick up and play. A fighting game like Marvel also has a pretty low skill floor because it's more accessible than a game like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 4. Think of it this way: skill floor is how bad you can be at a video game and still remain competitive. Now, skill ceiling, it's a bit different, but it can be defined as the difficulty of reaching the maximum possible skill level in a game. A high skill ceiling means that there's a large amount of mechanical landscape for players to work through, learn, and become better players. Skill ceiling is how good you can be at a game. A game with a high skill ceiling offers plenty of things to learn, so the more you put into it, the better player you can become. StarCraft is a great example of a high skill ceiling game. If you have time to master it, there is nearly no limit to how good a player you can make yourself. Pacing is often used to describe the journey through role-playing games or action or adventure games, but it's prevalent in all genres. Pacing is the ebb and flow of how we experience content in a game. It's what a video game is making you do while you are in it, and the rate of activities and tempo happening in what you're doing. For example, a game like The Last of Us is seen as a very well-paced game, as story bits, action, cutscenes, dialogue, and set pieces are used in combination to make players never tire of any of them. But it also describes what affects us while we're in a game. Is there a time limit to a game like Mario, making you feel anxious to get through a level? How many obstacles does the game throw at you, and does it mix it up throughout the game to affect its tempo? Does the game confine the geometry of a zone or restrict your vision when danger is drawing near? Silent Hill and Dead Space are great examples of this. Many players may want to slow down their movements and their pacing in a game like this to prepare for jump scares. The game is constricting you and making you perceive things that may not even be there, causing tension. Think of pacing as movement in a game. Ludonarrative dissonance. I know, it sounds scary, but it's really quite simple. It's when a video game's gameplay conflicts with its narrative. One of the classic examples is definitely Far Cry 3. The protagonist, Jason Brody, he's just an average dude, but as soon as the shit hits the fan, he's got no problem turning into Rambo. All of a sudden, he knows how to use high-powered automatic weapons. He shows no fear at any point and rampages across the game like a superhero, when in fact he's just a normal, boring dude. Other notable games with L&D are games like Uncharted and Tomb Raider. In Uncharted, Nathan Drake has a strong sense of justice and morality, yet slaughters hundreds and hundreds of enemies without even flinching. For the most part, your companions and the story itself shrugs off the massacres and no emotional consequences result.
Dad, wasn't Victor saying the weather is lovely this time of year? I can't see shit!
You would think that killing so many people would cause some sort of, emotional response or distress within Nathan, but it really doesn't. This shift in tone as gameplay actions clash with the narrative creates this dissonance, but seeing as how Uncharted kind of mirrors the bloodshed and mayhem of many popcorn action movies, it's not all that jarring in the end. But Tomb Raider of 2013, on the other hand, goes over less smoothly. I love Laura just as much as everyone else, but she's a damn killing machine in this game, and the gameplay excuses, very unceremoniously by the way, the gravity of it, when in fact the story itself is about Laura's personal adaptation to it. As a result, the gameplay and the narrative don't really sync up and harmonize in a way we'd want them to. A bullshot is when naughty publishers do something they shouldn't be doing. Bull for bullshit and shot for screenshot. referring to the misrepresentation of a final product's technical or artistic quality by artificially enhancing promotional images, trailers, and/or video footage. Developers have been pulling this crap for years now, but more recently, Watch Dogs, Dark Souls 2, and even The Witcher 3. But those are just the downgrades. Bullshotting can also happen more slyly though, like with No Man's Sky, or No Man's Lie, depending on how you want to look at it. Call it deceit, call it whatever the hell you want. Feigning ignorance and letting people dream up a make-believe game while you hide on the sidelines is as bad as lying in my book. But hey, people love those epic, shiny trailers, so bullshotting ain't going nowhere. Animation canceling is the act of interrupting the animation of an attack. Canceling is performed by attacking, and while that attack is being performed, the player must input the next attack. What this allows you to do is keep moving or attacking rather than to have to wait for the initial animation to finish all of its frames. From the FADC combos from Street Fighter 4 to the simple auto attack resets with Riven, or when the big dog brings down that cane, animation canceling sets apart the scrubs from the good players. Without a shadow of a doubt, these two phrases have been wrongfully used interchangeably since the beginning of online video games. They've got more to do with each other than pineapple does on the top of my pizza. Frame rates is how smooth the game is running to the visual eye, expressed as frames per second. The higher the frame rate, the more fluid and responsive the game feels and controls. Lower FPS games have both a visual delay in movement as well as a delay from when the player hits a button to when it registers on the screen. This delay is mechanical, meaning that it's due to the engine the game is running on. This has absolutely nothing to do with your internet connection, but latency on the other hand does. Commonly referred to as ping or lag, latency is the noticeable delay between the action of a player's controller input and the reaction of a server. It works the opposite of frame rate, whereas the higher the frame rate the better, the lower the latency the better. Lower latency gives a smoother experience to the input of an online video game, regardless of frame rate. Have you ever played one of those old adventure point-and-click games and asked yourself, where in Satan's ass cheeks do I need to click? Pixel bitching is having to sweep the screen in search of that one hidden or purposely cryptic item that will allow progress. It's a little bit of a throwback term, but you know what they say? Legends never die. Random number generator. Not to be confused with just bad luck, RNG is all about that dice roll.
100% perfect RNG. Wow.
You ever been to a casino, ripped down that slot machine lever and prayed? Well, that's your RNG. Some RNG is pretty good for games, such as having dice rolls for team loot drops. Everyone has a fair shot to loot that legendary bow off Diablo if you're in a party, or that dwarven hand cannon in BRD while raiding in WoW. But RNG can also be really bad. Just take a look at Hearthstone, getting a random Shimmering Tempest from Cabal Courier, which randoms into a Kabbalist tomb upon death, into 2 Fire Blasts and a Flame Strike as a priest. Pretty much breaks the game. The guy sitting across the table from you has no idea what to expect, so it diminishes the overall skill value of the game. And of course, RNG built into loot box and loot crate progression systems is pretty gnarly as well, because you're at the mercy of crapshoot luck, whether you'll get anything that you want. So there we go guys, the Dummies Guide to Video Game Terminology is donezo. Class is dismissed, but if you have any more to add to the list, just drop a comment down below. Thanks for watching guys. If you enjoy the content I put out on this channel, feel free to subscribe to Downward Thrust and consider checking out my Patreon at patreon.com/downwardthrust. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you on Monday for our next video.